Jenny McCarthy Show.
Let's talk about your book, An Amazing Heartfelt Journey. What a life you have led, girlfriend. The book is called One Heart at a Time. Tell everyone about the book. We have a big book buying audience, so I want them to all buy it.
Well, it was the hardest thing I have ever written by far. Finishing it was like nearly impossible. And in fact, I couldn't finish it. And so my publisher said that's okay. You know, what we're going to do is we're going to have your sister, who is my right-hand person, finish it, finish the chapter about your son. And I'm like, oh no, I love my sister to pieces, but nobody is writing my son's story but me. And I don't know if they did that on purpose, knowing I'd be like, no, nobody's telling my son's story but me.
And for those that don't know that part, will you explain it a little bit?
If I can, but I might have to borrow your glasses.
That's
for the rest
totally
of the
fine.
In October of 2017, I lost a son, Sammy, in 2012 to complications from sickle cell anemia. And in October of 2017, I lost my son, Zach, who was my last born biological child. And it destroyed me. Losing Sammy nearly destroyed me, but because he was in so much pain every day. Sickle cell is just a brutal disease, and it's very, very painful. There was joy in knowing he was no longer in pain, and that his body was healed and whole, and he was rejoicing with the Lord. But when I lost Zach, there was nothing but sadness and anger and confusion and mind-blowing revelations that came too late.
Can I ask you, what were those mind-blowing revelations?
Well, my son was a lot of things, Jenny. You would have loved my son. He makes your husband look mellow.
Wow.
Yeah. Zach was just a ball of energy. He was on the autistic spectrum. And he was just personality plus. And he left home to live with his dad. He had never lived with his dad before. And when he was 17, he wanted to live with his dad, and he went into a depression through a series of very unfortunate accidents. He wrecked his car and thought he hurt somebody, thought he killed somebody. He didn't, but he thought for a few hours that he plowed his car into the side of a cop in a storm.
Wow.
Very traumatic. Never drove again. And then a girl broke up with him and did it on text. And then he missed 2 weeks of school from an illness he had, which meant he wasn't going to be able to graduate with his class.
So it's compounding.
So it was compounding, and he went into a depression, and the school counselor suggested that we take him to a psychologist and to a counselor, which we did, thought they were the best. And the doctor we took him to put him on an antidepressant. And I had no clue when I was going to pick up his medication that I was actually poisoning my son. And the medicine that they put him on caused him to be delusional.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. What was the medicine?
I cannot say.
You can't say?
I will say it's an SSRI,
okay, which
is the most common course of action if a child is diagnosed with depression. And nobody tells you that 47% of children under the age of 25 who are put on an SSRI have such horrific side effects. They become more suicidal, more homicidal, and delusional. And nobody mentions that.
They don't. Anxiety. No. I mean, you hear it from my friends who have taken it. They're like, oh my God, it causes so much more anxiety in me. I can only imagine a teenager who's already filled with anxiety.
Who's filled with anxiety, who's going through serious sadness for very real reasons, and who's on the autistic spectrum, given a poison that is pushed by doctors that they know, the people who manufacture it know how deadly it is.
Oh, I know, sister.
They know how deadly it is. And yet they're now giving it to kids as young as 3 years old.
I know. I know that.
What?
It's fucked up.
It's like mind-boggling. And I knew none of this until it was too late. I thought I was helping my son. I thought I was doing the right thing. And they put such pressure on you. As soon as your kid starts crying, they're like, oh, that child's suffering from depression. And, depression's a huge problem and a problem in our society. And mental illness is a huge problem. So let's give them medicine for it. And my daughter has asthma. She has to take medicine. If she doesn't take her medicine, she dies. If she doesn't have an EpiPen on her, she dies.
Right.
And so
it was logical in your brain.
It was the right thing to do in my mind, and I had no idea.
Is this the reason you wrote the book?
No. The reason, that's one chapter in the book. It was the reason I couldn't finish the book. I had started the book long before that happened.
Can I ask, because I've gone through my own heartache, but what you lived is my greatest fear. My son went into cardiac arrest, and I had to watch him die for 2 minutes, and it was the hardest thing in my life. And every day I have post-traumatic stress that it's going to happen again at any second. And I don't know how I would move forward. I still have trouble forgiving myself for causing issues with him, bringing him to the doctor, doing what I feel like was my accountability. Have you been able to forgive yourself and know that it's not your fault?
Well, it is my fault. As a parent, it's our responsibility to research these things. Now, in the state I live in, a child as young as 13 can go on these SSRIs, can be put on them with no parental consent or intervention or anything. There is this huge loophole in our country that says once you're 18, you're a legal adult and your parent can know nothing about your medical stuff. The doctors don't consult parents. They don't tell you. Colleges don't tell your parents who are paying the college bill if you are, suffering depression or have a health problem
and
or are failing the class. Yeah. And so if somebody is struggling with these things and is then prescribed a medicine that they know causes you to become suicidal, the only person that is supposed to report this is the person on the medicine that causes you to become, in my son's case, very delusional. So how does a delusional person then say, oh, by the way, I'm delusional? Because you don't know you're delusional.
No.
If you know you're delusional, you're not.
Correct.
So
you're hearing voices. I'm well aware, by the way. The book, again, I want to plug it like crazy, One Heart at a Time.
So let me just
Yes,
say this,
please.
Jenny. The book is not about, like I said, that's one chapter. The book is actually very uplifting, and it's about how we can change the world. Because I think right now in our nation, in our world, in whether it's Argentina or Europe or wherever, people are scared, and they're more divided than ever in the history of our nation or our world. There's this huge division, right and wrong, left and right, gay and straight, black and white, whatever. This huge division. And the book is about how, instead of waiting for a political party or a political person or a policy to change that or fix it, we have to change it and fix it by reaching out in real relationships. Not social media, artificial, how many likes did I get,
Right.
but real relationships with our kids, our neighbors, our friends, our teachers, the people in our inner circle, and then expanding that to the outer circle. Real relationships and giving of ourself selflessly to change the world one heart at a time.
I love that.
So that's what the book is about. But included in that is the story of my son, both my sons, both my boys, and the impact they had on their world and their friends, and how their life mattered so much, and how they changed their world for good, one heart at a time. So the chapters about Sammy and Zach are a way to honor them and to keep their amazing legacies alive, because they were
love that.
such good boys.
What did you learn? Because after writing my books, and I've asked every author this, after you finish and complete it, it's like a baby of your own.
It is, isn't it? It's like you
really-
gave birth, and
Totally.
and then you have to let it go to nursery school or whatever. When the publicist is like, "Okay, we're going to do that," I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's my baby there."
I'm like, I bled my heart out in
Yes.
this book. It's my baby. What did you learn about yourself by the end of it? Because, writing is very therapeutic.
Well, when you walk around in your own skin, you don't think. I never think about Delilah on the radio. I mean, do you think about yourself
No.
as the person at New Year's Eve
No.
or the person trying to figure out who the raven is or whatever?
Not at all.
No, you think of yourself as mom or a sister and so it was kind of weird to step back after it was finished and go, wow, I have been through some stuff.
Yes.
I've been through some stuff and I'm still standing.
You are still standing.
You haven't seen the last of me yet. I am still standing.
What do you want to do? Is there something else on your horizon? Do you see-
Well, most of my energy and my financial resources go to Point Hope, which is the NGO I started many years ago. And we have two platforms. We work here in the United States trying to bring awareness to kids in foster care. In the United States, we have 487,000 kids.
I love that you bring awareness to this.
Yeah, who will go to bed tonight not knowing where they will live tomorrow. 487,000 kids, 60% are boys. 80% of those boys will end up incarcerated, Jenny, by the time they're 25. So we're not creating healthy, fully functioning adults through this system. We are creating long-term convicts and unwed mothers. That's what the system creates.
100% right. And you have how many foster kids?
Well, right now I have one child whose adoption is not finalized yet, but I have fostered, I don't know how many, but I have.
You don't know.
I don't. I mean, I don't know how many, but between my husband and I, he has 5 biological children, and I have 14 children. So between the two of us, we have 19 kids and 19 grandkids with 4 more grandbabies on the
Wow.
way right now.
Wow, that's unbelievable. You know, I think I talked to Donnie before. I'm like, I mean, if we're not going to have any more kids, but we can always look into foster. And then
Oh, you so should.
I so should. The only problem
You
is
so should.
I'd want to be home and I'm not. And that's not fair.
Well, it's the same as with your own kids.
Yeah.
It's no different.
Well, mine only has a year left of high school. That's the only thing. So I'm like, he's going to be following me around everywhere. So I think about that. But for people that need to know about fostering, I mean,
If not you and Donnie, who?
Right.
If not you who have resources,
Right.
you can put them under your insurance. You can hire tutors. You can hire counselors to help them with the trauma they've been through, Jenny. If not you, who? Because every person has that, I would, but.
You're right.
I would, but I'm too old.
And
I
here
would,
I'm-
but I'm too broke.
And I'm wanting you to
would,
convince
but-
people right now. And instead, why not?
Why
me?
not?
Yeah.
Why not you?
What a great
And
thing.
people say to me all the time, oh, God, Delilah, I'm so proud of what you do. You really have a calling. God has put a calling on your life. And I'm like, really? What, do you think I have a fairy godmother that follows me around and remembers to, tell them to brush their teeth?
Right.
Really? Because last time I checked, 487,000 kids need a parent.
Wow.
487,000. 19,900 aged out last year of our foster care system with no forever family. Most of them at 18. So your child is how old, your youngest?
16.
16. So in 2 years, would your child be able to go out your door without health insurance, without money for rent, without an education, and support themselves without getting into trouble?
No, he'll be with me till he's 30, literally, in my house. He's not going anywhere.
Okay. So imagine if that child had been sexually abused, bashed into a wall, burned with cigarettes, and then at 18 years old is put out into the street.
You're right. What kind of life can you lead having that childhood?
You end up in prison. That's why our prisons are full.
Oh, Delilah, I could talk to you forever. I might have to have a phone call with Donnie after this show. One heart at a time. Delilah also has other books, you guys. Love Someone Today, Love Matters, and Arms Full of Love. Please pick up the book One Heart at a Time. Please come back, Delilah.
I will. I will
really
come
love
back
talking to you.
and we'll change the world together.
We will.
We will change the world
Let's
together.
do it. Let's do it. We'll be right back. Can we take a picture again with me?
Yes.
Jenny McCarthy Show.